Stop getting the wrong advice. Ensure you get the right skills for the right job for jobs in the Middle East. Contact Loy Macedo.
This is a new flavor. It's called chai latte. They come out with new flavors, you know. By the way, those of you who keep asking me, what is that chocolate you're eating, or what is that, you know, stuff that you're... Some people even thought it was alcohol. I don't drink alcohol. It's a energy gel. Okay. Oh, if you know anybody wants to sponsor me, let me know. Okay. You know, sometimes I get asked this question. And it comes in different forms. Like, for example, some people say, how can you advise someone about marriage when you had divorced 3 times? How can I give advice about marriage when I was unsuccessful in my marriages? 3 failed marriages. You know, a guy who is married 4 times is going to give us advice on marriage. That's one. The second criticism I get is a guy who's half naked, earning average. What is he going to advise me on success? Okay. Then some other people say, for a guy who's not in the corporate world, what the fuck is he advising about the corporate world? Okay. So, I don't know, what other criticism do I get? A person who does not believe in God, what values will he teach? Okay. So, I thought I'll address these. Now, before I even address this, if you're one of those people who believes that I'm not qualified to advise on all this, you're right. I'm not saying you're wrong, you're right. Why? Because you're right for you. You need to find out somebody who resonates with you. You know, whenever we go for advice, when we go for advice or guidance, we choose the person we like. We choose the person we can relate to. We choose the person we feel, I can trust this guy. Because coaching or training or advice, giving advice, is a very intimate process. You have to really trust the person. You have to really believe in that person. Otherwise, you should not. And just imagine, when I do it professionally, I take 100% money in advance. The whole money I take in advance. And only then I start my work. So imagine the level of trust someone has to give me in order to do this. So if in case you're one of those people who believes that I'm not qualified, you're absolutely right for you. Means I'm not a good fit for you, and nobody should justify that. Neither me, nor your friend, nor your wife, nor anybody else. In fact, sometimes when I get a client who tells me, you know, my wife forced me or my husband forced me, I tell them then, listen, it's not going to work out because you're being forced. If you're coming willingly through your own, you're convinced from within, you believe, then. However, if you're talking about, okay, not sure, skeptical, or you want to give it a try, oh fine, that's different. But if you can only see the drawback or the bad thing about this person, don't go, because you're already biased. Okay, that's the first thing I want to tell you. And, when people tell me this, I don't even spend a second justifying. I tell them, you're right. I'm not a good fit for you. You need to find someone who's a good fit for you. Okay. However, now, having said that, let's move on to what are my reasons why I do give advice. Marriage or corporate world or whatever. Okay, now I'll tell you the reasons. And this is not me justifying, I'm giving you facts. You tell me where I'm wrong. Now, all of us, every human being on this planet, wants a perfect or near perfect life. We don't want to hurt anyone. We don't want to make mistakes, fall down, bruise ourselves. If we could achieve success in the easiest way possible, all of us would have done that. Why do you think, these magic pills people opt for? Why do you think people opt for steroids? Because they think it's easy. Why do you think people cheat others? Why do you think people get into cryptocurrency or investment or quick get-rich scheme or take this course and you'll make 7-figure income? Because generally human beings want things fast, okay? And with the least amount of effort. That's why we like instant, everything instant. Instant coffee, instant tea, instant service, instant gratification. But we don't want it to be delayed, neither do we want pain. We don't like being uncomfortable. Now, don't you think me as a human being, when I was young and small, you think I had this grand ambitions. Oh, I wish I get divorced. I wish I divorce 9 times, 10 times. I wish I break up. I wish I fail. No, I never envisioned that. Like you, like any other normal person, I envisioned I'll fall in love, true love, and get married to the right person. But I'll tell you where the problem is. Upbringing. Unfortunately for me, I didn't have a good upbringing. My mother was obsessed about money. My real father was obsessed about women and pleasure and smoke and drink. My stepfather was just obsessed about, I don't know, whatever he wanted and abusing me because I reminded him of my mother's first choice. So I basically, you're talking of a small boy who had nobody to guide him. I didn't have a single day in my life where my father sat and talked to me man to man or man to boy or just talked to me about life. I don't even remember one incident in all my years. One where he told me, you need to have a goal, you need to have a dream, believe in yourself. The only thing I would remember of my stepfather is beatings. He would only beat me violently. He'd only tell me, I didn't study or just basically hit me. My mother should play these emotional games and tell me, no money, oh, why were you born? Oh, you were a mistake. And my grandmother would give me bad words. She would say, you're a dirty blood, or, in their native language, why were you born? And someone should have strangled your neck when you were born. And so I was brought up in this environment. And then obviously when I go to school, I was lost. Teachers were busy hitting me because you need to understand this is the olden kind of schools where abuse was allowed. And South Indian teachers, my parents used to literally go and tell the teacher, beat him, no problem, be strict with him. So they used to vent out all their anger. And then in church, people used to kick me around because I was one of those, unwanted guys. So just imagine a small boy yearning for love, seeking his identity, totally lost. And that's how I grew up. And there was no internet, there was no social media, thankfully. There was nothing. I only could read books, that also the ones that my parents wouldn't dare. They would not allow me to read any other book other than my school books. Just imagine how limited my knowledge was. In fact, even encyclopedias, I loved seeing encyclopedia, snakes and animal photographs and fire and this and that and nature. I was to go to my cousin's house to read those books because my parents didn't believe in even investing in books. So that's how I grew up. I was locked up in the house. So being this child who grew up into a young man, totally lost, suddenly you get exposed to freedom because one fine day you get exposed to freedom. Wow, the world was at my disposal. And obviously, when there's no upbringing and there's no guidance, you will make mistakes, right? You'll do all things which are stupid, right? Like when I got my first salary, what did I do? I spent it on perfumes. Why? Because I wanted to impress girls. I spent it on, the palm top. Now we have smartphones. You can just Google search what is a PALM, palm top. There's a handheld device by Windows. I think Windows or Palm, this company came. Bulky, really bulky, big. where you could just make appointments and calendars, and I bought it without knowing what am I going to do with it. In fact, after I got my first salary, I just blew it all off in, I think, 24 hours. And then when I found out later on I could take a bank loan, I took a bank loan to buy books. I spent all. You're talking of zero balance. Just imagine the maturity of a young man in his 20s who would just do that. So, given that there was nobody to guide me, obviously I'll make mistakes, right? So I made all the mistakes a young man could possibly do. I made all the mistakes you can think of. Fortunately, it wasn't smoking or drinking. That path I didn't go, and drugs. Gangs also I didn't go. So with that background, my first marriage was made on the foundation of lies. My partner lied to me. And she convinced me that going abroad and getting a white passport would save me. She basically wanted me to come because she had low self-esteem. And she was a totally ugly looking female. She had fooled me, lied to me about her photograph, appearance, everything after she came down. You can Google search my previous videos where I spoke about my first marriage, second marriage and third marriage. The true story. So, got married on a foundation of lies. And the only reason I got married to her and went abroad is because she told me you can get a white passport. But ultimately, after going there, she was torturing me. Actually, not physically, mentally torturing me. Abusing me, calling me names, laughing at me, not helping me get a job, not helping me go anywhere. I was like a slave. So I left Dublin, Ireland and came back. I was badly mentally bruised. For a year, I was afraid, you know. So, first relationship, marriage. Second marriage, my mentor, who was my spiritual guide, he told me get married because Jesus spoke to him and told him that I should marry this particular girl whom he selected. You know, there were different girls. When you go to marriage websites, there was this girl. I told him, this is the one. He said, yeah, go marry. Everything will be okay. And I've spoken about it in second marriage. What happened, why I had to accidentally go to India, stay there for visa problems and ended up being with her. And I'll tell you, even at the day at the altar, I didn't want to marry. I even called up my boss, my mentor. Please, I don't want to get married. No, get married. Relax. I'm with you. No matter. It will work. It'll be. I believed him. Don't you believe the mentor who you worship and love and adore and who takes care of you and pays all your bills and looks after you and is like a father figure? Second marriage. Third marriage? Well, why did I get married? That was my best friend. The only reason I got married was because I was staying in UAE, which is a Gulf country. It was following Islamic rules. And there was an Arab guy who saw me and her staying together. We would both be arrested. And that time I thought to myself, oh shit, we are in trouble. Actually, police came knocking on my door and asking for my ID. I managed to tell them bullshit that my passport was given for the consulate. I would have been arrested, maybe jailed those days. Now they are a little liberal. But you're talking of, I think 10 years ago, 15 years, no, 10, 12 years ago. If you would get caught with a woman in an apartment in Sharjah, finish, you're jailed both, maybe for life. So when the police came, then I had to act fast. And after got married for the sake of not getting jailed. And then after I got married, I was like, okay, she's my best friend. Might as well make it work, right? I gave it my best. She was my best friend. I liked her a lot. Love, not too sure. But it was not love so much so that I'd want to marry her. She loved me a lot. She was an amazing human being. Amazing. There's nothing but respect for her. But then again, made a mistake. But I had to make this mistake because otherwise I'd be jailed. Hence the third marriage. And I was still fucking around when married. Finally, when time came and I decided to leave, divorced, I left. But then I didn't want to get married, man. I really didn't. And I thought to myself, okay, now why should I get married? But then the only reason why I had to get married is the right reason. The right reason was I need a companion, number one. I can't keep searching for a new companion. That was one. Number two is age is catching up. If you marry at 40 and give birth to a child when you're 40, when you're 50, the child is 10. When you're 60, the child is 20. So shouldn't you be working to earn and look after the child? Imagine if I get a child when I'm 60. If I get a child when I'm 60, then who's going to work and earn and take care of the child when the child is 10, 15, 20? You know, some children even take up to 25 with college. So I have to earn, right? It's a responsibility of a parent, right? And last and not the least, by that age, I had a little bit of savings where I believed, okay, I can manage with a simple girl. And given the fact that I slept around with so many girls, had so many relationships, I told you more than 400. I used to literally keep a diary where every girl was a number, girl number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I was sleeping around as if it was a sport for my low self-esteem. Finally, got married. Now today, I can advise people based on the mistakes I've made, based on the wrong decisions that I've taken, based on what you should not do, based on if you do get divorced, what is the price to pay? You know, if you go and ask advice to someone who has a proper upbringing, both of them have proper upbringing, the guy and girl, both have good, perfect education, both have good, perfect personalities, both are a perfect match, and both are happily married. I mean, what can they advise you about divorce? What can they advise you about extramarital affairs? What can they advise you about cheating on your partner? What can they advise you on what is the pain of going through a divorce? What can they advise you about remarriage? How do they know someone who's perfectly married? What are the mistakes you can make? If you have never made a mistake, how can you advise anyone on what not to do? A person who is perfectly married with a perfect marriage will tell you true love and true friend. And if you're looking at whitewash advice, you just have to go to the internet, man. You don't even have to pay anyone. In fact, there are so many people like this with a perfect suit and tie and prim and proper. But then make sure that they match you. You also have a perfect upbringing. You also have parents who love you. You also have, good income, good savings. You don't have to worry about anything. We live in a day and age where today personalities are so varied, temptations are so many, people make so many mistakes. People are afraid to literally show their real dark side, whether they're sleeping around, whether their temptation is sex, or whether they have fetishes, or you need to have a real conversation. The only reason I am qualified in my way to give advice to a limited audience, I'm not talking of everyone, a limited audience, is because I made mistakes. And I can guide someone from preventing, making those mistakes. Remember, you learn a lot from other people's mistakes. Like they say, you don't have to get bitten by a snake to know that venom is poison. So, if suppose, let's say, snake is poisonous, or let's say taking drugs is dangerous, do you actually go and say, oh, I don't believe you, let me take it? No. Maybe a person who has never taken it will tell you it's dangerous, but a person who has done it can actually tell you much more than a person who's only read it in theory. That is why when I give advice on what I'm qualified, what I've experienced, what I've done. So this is where marriage comes in. Now the second part about the corporate world. Agreed, I'm not a CEO. Totally agree. Now, let's understand who are the people who end up being CEOs. Someone who have a very strong educational background, someone who has exceptionally good office politics skills, of managing people and politics, great networking skills, great personality, great mind. So if you are that kind of a person, the Harvard Ivy League look-alike, then you have to take advice from someone like Satya Nadella or Sundar Pichai or Elon Musk. Take advice from these people who are prim, proper, perfect. But if you're not perfect, if you're a normal, everyday, average guy like me, obviously you don't have tattoos, but you need to survive in a hardcore world. I offer a unique perspective. Let me give you those unique perspectives. Number one, imagine, here's my question to you. Have you ever asked yourself, with tattoos, without being online, those days, how was I getting income? How did I manage to make money? How did I get corporate gigs? How did I get invited to give training programs, to teach, train other people? I've trained in Google, I've trained in Samsung, I've trained in LG. Not talking of children, I'm talking of people who are 50, 45, 50, and people who are managers, directors, in some cases, big guys. How? What did I teach them? What did I train them? Forget that. In fact, ask yourself, how in the world did I even get an appointment? So with such a face, such a profile, without a resume, I was able to do. I can challenge you, you can't do that. Open challenge. So obviously I know something you don't, right? So that is where learning comes in. See, you can learn from anyone, anywhere, anytime, provided you have an open mind. If you limit yourself to only the perfect, then you don't even have to approach a person. Just listen to one of their talks. You listen to Ajay Banga, who's the CEO of MasterCard. Listen to his talk on Stanford. Listen to these guys who speak at Oxford. They'll give you pitch perfect, poised, pretty advice. It's work hard, believe in yourself, study this, do that. But in my case, I give you, it's like the underground, the dark, ugly truth of what goes on the streets. And keep in mind, 2011, I was penniless and homeless. Not in money for a bowl of rice. From there, I am here today. I'm not saying I'm the greatest, but maybe there's something I learned from somebody which I can share with you. Okay. But I'm not saying come to me. If you're not, find out someone you can relate to. And last, if not the least, if I'm an atheist, what values can I teach you? So let me guess, because I don't believe in any God, I'm abusing my child. I have a daughter. You think I'm doing something horrific with her? You think because I don't read any holy book, I don't know how to treat my daughter with love and respect? You think I do dirty things, scary things, horrifying things? Maybe I beat her, maybe I drink her blood or bludgeoned her, beat her violently. In fact, my stepfather used to go to church. My mother used to go to church almost sometimes every day. They abused me. My uncle, who sexually molested me, used to pray to his Hindu gods. This people who have cheated me. In fact, the guy who tried to destroy my life, who does fake degree certificates, he has gone to Hajj. He has praised to Allah. So make me understand. See, these murderers, these people who murder, who kill, they, in the name of God, they are following some religion, right? Oh Lloyd, they are not. Fine, but I'm giving you examples from religion, no? Give you an example of an atheist who, for a non-God, killed someone. You'll go back to Pol Pot, Stalin. You know how many years ago it was? So let's not fool ourselves with values. I treat my wife with love and respect. In fact, the amount of trust my wife has and I have. Do you know my wife has my passwords for all, bank account, Facebook, everything? Do you know that my wife can literally cheat me in a second? And I've been cheated by women before who have taken my money and run away. Can you trust your wife so much where she has your passwords, she has access to your phone, your Facebook, your internet, your bank account, everything? How come? How come we hardly fight? In the 4 years, we have had four times or 5 times I've shouted at her because she's lazy. She wasn't cleaning. When she doesn't do her work, she's young. I've never hit, till today I've never hit any female. Never. I have not touched alcohol, not smoked a cigarette, not abused a child, even though I was abused. So without reading a book, how come I have these good traits? Tell me. So where does my values come from? Have you asked yourself? Values don't come from an outdated prehistoric book, my friend. Values come from here. From here. If you don't have common sense, if you don't have character, if you don't have integrity, no magic book is going to make you a good person. And keep away from those people who, in the name of a religion, who give you the name of God 110 times and then try to market themselves as good. Oh, I meet so many people, Jesus. They keep saying everywhere. You meet them, brother in Jesus. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Praise the Lord, brother, praise the Lord. I keep away from such mental retards. The more someone takes the name of God, the bigger bastard he is. Whether it's Allah, whether it's Durga, Ganesh, Shiva, whether it's Jesus, Mary, whatever. You take the name of God, frequently I'll keep away from you because I know something's wrong with you. And there are enough and more, wolves in sheep clothing to show you that they're holy. In fact, the people who have betrayed me are the ones who go and pray to God so many times here. Unknown people who don't believe in God, some of them have helped me. In fact, it's so funny, I'm being a Christian. Muslims have helped me. Ex-Christian. So bottom line, what I'm trying to tell you is, say, listen, don't force yourself. Don't force yourself if you're not convinced. Let nobody tell you. You need to find someone who you can connect with, who you feel one with, who there is a chemistry, where there is a rapport. If you're looking for all these external decor and external appearances, then find someone who matches that image. It's maybe not a person with all these scars and marks, and maybe it's not me. Maybe you want someone who's prim and proper and cute and nice and sweet. Like I told you, go with your gut and let no one force you. For me, I've remained like this. I'll continue to remain like this. Like some people say, Loy, why do you give bad words? And then tell people, oh, you're talking in genders. Simple common sense. I just say fuck as a figure of speech. But I never say your mother's this or your sister's that. No, I don't say that. Because why? Why should you disrespect someone's mother? Yes, if you start disrespecting and acting like a chooth, see, now here I'm using the bad words. Okay, if you start disrespecting me, my wife, my baby, then I'll disrespect you. But otherwise, normal conversation, I don't. I'm talking of those people who, for everything, have to talk about the mothers. They specifically say your mothers, your sisters, your fathers. That's not classy. Like I said, I have my rules, you have yours. Okay, I'm a guy who keeps things transparent, and maybe I don't fit into your rules of your world or your definition of good, decent, nice. I don't need your certificate of appreciation. Neither do you need mine. So go find someone you connect with, and I wish you all the best. Problem solved, right? So anyway, this is what I wanted to share with you. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? Should you take advice only from someone who is perfectly married? Should you take career advice from someone who has a perfect record and looks perfect and perfect education? If you say yes, also you're not wrong. After all, would you take advice from someone who's poor on how to be rich, you wouldn't take, right? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, right? Guys, take care. This is me signing off. Ciao.